Howdy everybody, and welcome to this quick how-to video on how to play Barony, as well as some tips and tricks to help you navigate your way through the game. So the first thing you're going to do is create a game lobby where other players will join you. And while you're here, you can tweak the game settings. This allows you to do things like turn hunger on and off. It allows you to control whether or not friendly fire is enabled. There's a couple of features here that allow you to change how hard or easy the game is going to be for you. You can also change some of the random seeds in the game. This allows you to play the same dungeon over again, which is perfect for speedruns or practicing a particular strategy. So you're going to see another player pop in here real quick, and you'll notice that there's a ton of different classes that you can use. He's a cleric or a healer right there, a wanderer. He's going to play as a barbarian, but you can also change from a human. We've got a ton of different species. The goblin is what this player is going to play as. So as you launch into the game, the main purpose of Barony is to explore these dungeons with your friends, kill monsters, raise your level, get better spells, get better equipment, and ultimately just explore everything that the game has to offer. You can pick up items off the ground. As you navigate your way through the map, there's a ton of different rooms. You can get humans to join you on your quest, NPC humans. There's puzzles, so you activate switches which open just locked doors. You can interact with objects in the environment, like that kiosk here. Barony can be played on controller and PC, so you're going to see both controller and PC controls as we make our way through this video. Here you're looking at a variety of stats. We've got a very, very robust stats system, and every class has different things that they specialize in, so we highly recommend that you experiment with all of the classes and characters. One of the great things about Barony is its 4-player split-screen multiplayer. While we do support online, we also encourage people to play locally. And one of the great things that you're going to find as you experiment with this is the UI works completely. And it works completely independently of your other players. So you can shop at the store, you can tweak your inventory, you can review your stats. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you can see we've got a little bit of combat going on here. All of this occurs in real time at the same time. Let's move into the call-out feature. As you saw there, we called out an escape door. Here we're calling out an item. It's really vital when you're playing online because you can tag different enemies and objects that will alert other players to things that you're seeing. For instance, there's a goblin over there. We're going to switch to the other player. You're going to see that the first player calls out the goblin. This character, who is a goblin, actually can befriend that goblin. Here, we've called out a boulder, and that allows us to let the other player know that there's something here that they should interact with. So the other player is going to show up, they're going to equip a special ring that lets them push boulders, and boom, we've solved a puzzle, which allows him to switch a switch and open a door. Now there's all sorts of spells in Barony. So you'll see here we've got a mimic, and the player is using the locking spell to control the mimic's attack. So experiment with spells, that's really, really critical. Okay, we've got a ton of traps in Barony. Here you're going to see a boulder trap. Watch out for those. They always fall from the ceiling. They will get you so many times. It's hilarious to be killed by those. But that's not the only trap. You've got things like these spellcasters that are set in walls that you show up in the later levels. But there's also some spike traps. There's a ton of different traps to watch out for, which makes the dungeon extremely lethal. So be on your guard as you navigate your way through the game. But the biggest threat is the Minotaur. Now these will show up randomly as you play through the game. Once you see that icon on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you've got about 3 minutes before the Minotaur shows up. You can see on the map the Minotaur is hunting our players. You have to get to the exit as quick as possible. Otherwise, this guy's going to show up and he kills you really fast. There's a ton of different traps, there's a ton of different lethal aspects of Barony, but it makes the game really dynamic and really interesting to explore. So we highly recommend leaving all the options on to get the best experience. Okay, so now we moved into things like stores. So stores show up randomly over the course of the game. There's a variety of them: weapon stores, hat stores, food stores. And you can spend your money here and gain new items. Alright, so you're going to get hungry as you play through the game. You can solve that by eating food or drinking from fountains, which also can be traps, so just be aware. Ultimately, you're going to die at some point. no matter how careful you play. And when you do, you're going to drop these death boxes. You're going to turn into a ghost. After that, you can see that ghost flying around there. Other players have to go and pick up your death boxes. They can do that and start carrying them around. We'll explain that in a minute. When you're a ghost, you can actually flow around outside of the map a little bit, so you can do a little bit of exploring and help your other player friends out. You can do things like cast spells, open and close doors, push objects around. So here you're going to see one player gets killed by a mimic. And again, this player's going to use the locking spell to keep the mimic from attacking and defeat them. The one player's dropped his death box in the water. So the nice thing about death boxes is they don't fall off the world and they don't sink. So you can always recover. And you can see the two other players here as ghosts. So what do you do when you have the death boxes? As I mentioned earlier, when you go to the next stage, you can drop them in the starting room and the other players can pick them up and re-equip all of their items. So it's really important that you grab the death boxes as you're making your way through the game. Here you're seeing one of our several puzzle rooms. These are really worth seeking out. They're very, very well hidden in most instances, but it's worth experimenting with a variety of tools and spells to unlock these spaces. This one is a boulder pushing minigame where you're trying to push boulders into the holes, push all the boulders into the various holes around the room. You know, it's really worthwhile doing these because you get special rewards. For instance, these magical gloves here. You can also get a lot of gold, all right, which is going to be super useful for the shops, as mentioned earlier. Now, if you've done all of this and you survive all of the levels, you're going to get to face off with one of our main bosses. This is Baron Herx. He's one of the first bosses in the game. There's several other ones which you should definitely seek out and explore. Now, this guy is very difficult, but hopefully if you've got a good team and a high enough level, you can kill him, and then you get your orb, so you can finish the game. One of the nice things about Barony, though, is even though you've beaten the game, you're not done. The dungeons are different every time, and your paths that you can take can be different every time. So we highly encourage you that once you've made it through the game once, that you come back through, try it again, and you're going to find that no experience is ever the same twice.